Hi, welcome to another episode of the Hustle UK series on how to set up a t-shirt business. In this particular episode, we're going to look at designing or making a design for your t-shirts. So I previously alluded to the software you can use and how the different options you have. But in this particular episode, I'm going to show you the designs that I want to create for my customers. And I'm also going to show you the process of printing them out and then adding them onto a t-shirt to make a finished product, and just show you a bit of quality control as well. So here we can see a design that took me only about 4 to 5 minutes to make, and I honestly was just messing around and I created this design. I actually thought, you know what, it looks okay, maybe someone will want to buy it. And I had a thought, my main designs are going to be very bespoke designs based upon names of customers. However, you can always make extra designs on top that you can sell, and these would be more generic stuff, so stuff like this that someone can buy and I can just literally print it off as and when I need to, and I don't have to do much with it. Another one that I really quickly made, again, took me literally only a few minutes, was this one with the name Atlantia with this green trident looking thing in the background. It started invoking things of ancient myths, it started invoking some of the new superheroes that are coming out. I think there might be a market for things like this, so I thought I'd keep these designs and maybe I'll just try them out. At the end of the day, they cost me 5 minutes of my life when I was a little bit bored, so effectively they've cost me nothing, and I can just put them on and see if they make any money. If they do, they do. If they don't, no harm done. One thing I did do with these is that I did a reverse image search using Google to make sure I didn't copy anyone else. And so as you can see with this Atlantia one, I haven't copied anyone else. And that's something just to be aware of. Even if you create something yourself, if it's very, very similar to somebody else, they might try raising a copyright claim against you. And it's probably just too much hassle. So it's easier to kind of try and avoid that from the get-go. The main thing that I wanted to create, however, was a bespoke name t-shirts using atoms. So, for example, let's say your name is Bob. We can create, using atoms, the word Bob. B boron, O for oxygen, B boron. And then the design would be these atoms as you can see them. So you have the electron shells basically going around. Another name, let's just pluck one out, is maybe Oliver. So oxygen, lithium. Let's get some V up here, and E. A, B, C, D, E, R, E. And here we go. And it's quite an easy thing to do, and I think it's very bespoke. I've had a look around. I can't see anyone that's doing anything even remotely similar to this. In fact, I have to explain to people every time. I think people who are watching this video can clearly see what I want to do, but when I try to explain it to people, it's hard for them to get their head around until I show them a picture of it. But I think this is quite niche, but in this day and age where actually being a little bit geeky, being a little bit nerdy is kind of a little bit cool and isn't as frowned upon as much, I think these could sell. This particular thing that you see here is literally just a quick HTML file that I made to help me quickly create the designs. What I actually do have is a file with every single design, as you can see in there. And so what I would then do is, let's say somebody, let's go back, let's create another name, let's create a random name, George, let's say George, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, N, O, George, P, Q, R. And here's the big problem with this. So you can only get best fit. So Oliver fitted quite well, but with George, you can't get a full proper George fit. The nearest I can get, A, B, C, that I think that looks nice, is George's. So, but it's pretty damn close. It's pretty damn close, and it'd still be a conversation piece and conversational starter. So then what I would do is I'd go into these and then bring them in, and because these are the full resolution versions, into GIMP and align them up just like I have here, George. And this will then print out onto an A4 sheet of heat transfer paper, which I can then use to print the design onto a t-shirt. So now we've got a design that we want to print. In this particular case, we want to print the name George. One of the issues with using heat transfer paper is that you need to print everything in a mirror mode, because of the way when you put it down onto the t-shirt or the garment, the image will be flipped. So if I printed it as it is now, the word will be spelled backwards. In my particular printer, I can't seem to find that option, which is a bit annoying. If your printer has that option, then you don't have to worry. When you go to print, you just click flip. As a result, I've had to actually create a brand new picture where we've got the word flipped. And now I'm just going to print this. So go to print. We can change some options in here. Sorry, I'm just going to change this to bit picture. It's always good to go into the printer properties to make sure you can see what you're printing. So we don't want it to be grayscale. I put it as photo printing because I have a feeling, I think I've tried it a bit, and with my printer that works a lot better and gives a much higher resolution and quality. Make sure your printer paper size is A4 or whatever size it is, and then just going through making sure my print quality is set to high. Make sure my page set up here, again my page size is A4, normal size, everything's fine there, looks okay. And it's no longer grayscale. That's okay. So the system just updated there. And now we're just going to click print. And we'll wait for it to print. Now that the design is ready to be printed, we just need to make sure our printer is all set up. So the actual location of your printer, that's up to you, wherever you want to put it, wherever you've got space. But the main thing you need to worry about is the heat transfer paper. Heat transfer paper comes looking something like this. One side is blank, and the other side has got a pattern to it. But the design should print on the blank side. You do not want it to print on the pattern side. To this end, you need to know which way and on which side your printer is going to print. What I recommend is printing a test of your design, especially the very first time you do it, to make sure it prints correctly and prints to the desired level using just normal paper. When you're doing that, you can put a mark on one side, and that will enable you to ascertain whether you need to put your paper in face up or face down. In my case, I've already done something like this, and I know I have to put the paper in face up. So here we have the final product. It's actually come out really well, considering my printer was running out of ink, and I'm quite proud of it. I'm quite happy with what we've got here. I think now what we need to do is just put this onto a t-shirt. Now the first thing is we need to cut it down to size. If you have transfer paper, the problem with transfer paper is all of the paper will transfer over to your t-shirt or your garment, which means if you have light transfer paper like this, white transfer paper like this, the white background will also transfer over. It's not a problem if you're using it on a white t-shirt, but once you start using it on coloured shirts and coloured garments, you will get that transfer going across. So you need to cut it as close as possible to your design. As you can see, my design is quite complex, so it's going to be a bit much more of a challenge if I were to do that. In this case, as I'm doing it onto a white t-shirt, I'm not that bothered, and the main thing I want to see is proof of concept to see if my design transfers well enough over to a t-shirt to a point where I think I'd be happy to sell it to somebody, and to make sure it's all hunky-dory, and plus that way we can get some shots of an actual product that I can use on an eBay listing. Now as you can see, it may be possible to print multiple designs on one piece of A4 paper to save costs. So if later on I'm getting multiple orders, I could use one A4 sheet to get 3 orders done, and that would therefore save my costs. Now I'm using a textbook because you need a hard surface to iron your shirt on. A ironing board is not recommended according to the manufacturers. I'm just going to pop and go and get a t-shirt. So as I lay the t-shirt down, I'm trying to just figure out where I'm going to be doing this. So they normally say about a handspan width down from the edge of the neck is a good place to put everything. Now you got to make sure when you're putting your design down that it is the right way up, and often what you can do is you can see your design through the paper, so if it looks right then it's okay. Now I'm going to use an iron for this. As I've said in previous videos, you can use an iron or a heat press. The advantage of using an iron is you have one lying around at home, so it's no setup cost. But the advantage of using a heat press is you can set the temperature and you literally just lock it down. You get a lot of pressure and temperature for about 10-20 seconds and it's done. Unfortunately with this, with an iron, the manufacturer recommends, for example, an A5 piece of paper needs to be ironed for an hour and for 1.5 minutes. In this case, I'm going to put it on for 2 minutes just to make sure I get enough coverage. And that is the biggest downside of using an iron, is that it will take you longer. I'm just ironing over the actual t-shirt to get rid of any creases to help make the transfer a bit smoother before I actually start the proper transfer. So now that I've got my design set up where I want to, I start my timer and then just start ironing. Now I've got to iron every single bit of this design, and I've got to make sure I keep the iron moving to keep every little bit hot and make sure every little bit gets heated up. As we're now getting to the end, so my beeper started beeping, I know now to calm down my ironing, and to stop my ironing I now need to just peel off my heat transfer paper to reveal my design underneath. This has to be done really quickly, otherwise you might end up getting a mess up. And immediately I see I've messed up a little bit because my textbook wasn't large enough and therefore the edge of the design didn't fully iron down, but I'll be able to fix that in a little bit, so that's not a major issue, but it is a bit annoying that it didn't happen at the first point. Now what I need to do is get some silicone paper and put it on top of my design and iron over that, because what this does is this binds the ink to the t-shirt, and normally this is recommended for all of about 20 seconds. So as you can see, I'm doing it slightly longer just to make sure I get a good bind. And that's it. That's how you print onto a t-shirt. So having a look at the design, it's actually come out pretty good and it's pretty detailed. I don't mind this. Obviously you can see from the video in itself isn't that focused, but as we zoom in we can see it's got quite good detail, quite decent detail, and I think that's passable if you wanted to sell that. And I think it's quite a nice conversation piece and a conversation starter. As you can see, that was the part where I was saying a little bit didn't print off, and that was my fault simply for having a base that was too small. But that's one of the good things about doing stuff like this. When you try it, you learn. So now I know next time I'm going to need a bigger base to do this on. but overall I think it's okay. However, as we zoom out, one thing you can notice, it is a little bit small. Now, that can be addressed by changing your design, the way you print it in GIMP. That would for example, you could rather do it as one line, you could do 4 massive squares in each corner, for example, for this, because there's 4 atoms, and it'd probably be a lot bigger, but then that would involve a lot more manipulation in terms of cutting out and adding on, and you'd have to probably do 4 separate designs being ironed on. The other way is to use a bigger printer, so a printer that prints A3 sheets. Of course, that's beyond the scope of this. We're trying to start off small, so for now I think it's an okay, because one of the things about this is it's a conversation starter. So people get close, they'll see, oh, this looks weird, this is different, and then people start talking about it. So I think I'm not like too worried about it at the moment. If I get feedback that people want it bigger, then I can always make the designs bigger. Hi, so I hope this tutorial was helpful. In this, I hope it's shown the entire process of how to actually print your own t-shirt using heat transfer paper. It also showed that sometimes not everything goes as smoothly as planned, and you have to kind of figure out solutions to problems as and when you encounter them. That is the nature of life, and that is the nature of business. I did actually figure out how to fix that particular error that I made simply by getting the bit that hadn't ironed on and literally just lined it up and put it under the iron, and it fixed it. And I actually took some pictures which we'll use in a later video to upload to eBay to show the final product to potential customers. If you've liked this video, and please give it a like. If you have any comments, if you have any queries, if you have any questions, if you have any advice, please leave a comment below. And if you would like to see more videos, if you would like to follow this journey, if you would like to see more videos similar to this, please click the subscribe button, and that will hopefully keep you updated with any future videos that we release. Thank you.